What the? What is this? Where am I? And who the hell are you?
Who am I? Friend, this is my house. The question is, who the hell are you?
God damn it! Now I'm out $300. I should just stop predicting things. It's not doing me any favors. And it's not like I can recoup my losses with this channel's revenue either. Please like, comment, and subscribe so together we can beat the algorithm. But what was the big shocking twist I was completely wrong about? Well, let's crack open the final book in the Hello Neighbor prequel trilogy, Buried Secrets, and find out. With summer vacation in full swing and EarthPro's development plans accelerating, Nikki Roth worries that Aaron and Maya Peterson's disappearance will be left in the dust. But the more he obsesses over his mysterious neighbor, the more his family and friends distance themselves from him. Can Nikki dig deep enough to find the truth and shed some light on the Peterson kid's fate? Or will he dig deep enough and find that he can't climb his way out? I'm gonna come out and say it, this was my least favorite book of the trilogy. Which isn't to say that the book's bad, but let me explain. Being a prequel series that leads into an already established story, there's only so much you can do that doesn't contradict or nullify said established story. And because this series is a trilogy, that means there's only so much you can do to fill up space and make it a trilogy. Why am I saying this? Because Buried Secrets ultimately is just filler in between the setup from the previous two books and the final 30 pages or so, which I'm told is a retelling of Act 1 from the first game. So the way I'm seeing this book series now, Missing Pieces and Waking Nightmare were build up to the final 30 pages of Buried Secrets, and everything in between was just to fill up space. Like, what happens here, really? Nikki's friends slowly break things off with him. EarthPro begins their land development. That subplot didn't really go anywhere.
You used me for land development!
Mr. Peterson continues to act creepy. All things we've seen before. There were a number of false starts as well. At first it appears that Nikki is gonna make up with his friends, and there's like 2 dedicated scenes to this, but they go nowhere. And Nikki actually attempts to break into Mr. Peterson's house once before he does it the second time in the climax. That didn't really go anywhere either. I get that the point is to have Nikki feel isolated and confused, and yeah, I was like actually empathizing with him, but that also came with the frustration of having to slog through all this dull, repetitive misery before you actually hit the climax. Which brings me to a plot hole. I actually noticed this in Waking Nightmare, but I didn't bring it up because it appeared at the end and I thought that maybe Buried Secrets would seal it up, but no, it didn't. If Mr. Peterson claimed to have sent Aaron and Maya to their Aunt Lisa's house and Nikki was able to contact Aunt Lisa and confirm that they weren't there, then the police would have evidence that Mr. Peterson was lying about sending them to their Aunt Lisa's house. The story, however, attempts to get around this by suggesting that Aaron and Maya might have actually gotten to Aunt Lisa's house and then ran away while they were there. However, neither the story nor the characters confirm that the kids ever got to Aunt Lisa's house in the first place. We never hear from Aunt Lisa again, and the Ravenbrooks police allege that they can't do anything because it's out of their jurisdiction, but nothing's stopping them from contacting the police local to Aunt Lisa's area and further compiling the case. There's just a parade of red flags billowing in the wind and streaming by, and the police don't act on any of them because derpity-doo, I guess. The police are grossly incompetent, Aunt Lisa is fishier than low tide at the pier, and Mr. Peterson should be swatted like a fly. But we can't have any of that happen because otherwise the story wouldn't happen like the writers intended. So to sum it up, we have a trilogy where things have to be dragged out because nothing too impactful can happen yet, and the writers have to manufacture these plot contrivances just to keep adding pages to the books. And Buried Secrets is where, unfortunately, all those pitfalls culminate. Missing Pieces was setup, Waking Nightmare was build-up, and Buried Secrets was 85% fluff, 15% payoff. If you ask me, they should have condensed Waking Nightmare and Buried Secrets into one book of similar length, but then you wouldn't have this oh-so-marketable trilogy box set. The intersection of business and art is often messy and wrought with collisions. I've been negative so far, so what are some good things about this book? Well, frustrating as the story was on occasion, it's Nicky's strong narrative voice that really pulls through. His reactions are vivid and realistic, and I totally believed in his character. The opening scene at Spreeland with that haunted classroom ride has a great atmosphere and setup. I really want to see that thing in action. There's this subplot where the kids attempt to start an engineering club, but Trinity ends up morphing it into a social justice club? Trinity, girl, come on. A little unintentional comedy there, admittedly, but I laughed. I've been highlighting the climax this whole time, and yeah, the climax is when things really start to get good. Nicky breaks into the Peterson house for the final time. He discovers the basement, which is actually this combination dungeon and subterranean amusement park where, and this is where my $200 loss comes in, Mr. Peterson has been keeping Aaron hostage because he might be connected to the theme park disasters and because he definitely caused Maya's death. And now Nicky's going to be imprisoned in this hell land because Mr. Peterson just wants a companion for Aaron who's still alive. Good God. The setting, the pacing, the tone, it all meshes very well. It's a good twist and a punchy ending that makes up for whatever qualms I had with the story before. And again, apparently this ending is a retelling of Act 1 from the game, so it's a fun way to retain continuity. So that does it for the Hello Neighbor prequel trilogy. I wondered in my first review whether I'd like it more than the Faz books, and well, let's compare it to the Silver Eyes. I think while the Silver Eyes trilogy is more dynamic and a little more creative because it wasn't bound to the game's canonicity, the Hello Neighbor prequel trilogy is actually better written and better constructed, so I think I actually like it more than the Silver Eyes trilogy. And side note, there's no point in comparing the Hello Neighbor prequel trilogy to either Fazbear Frights or Tales from the Pizzaplex because not only were those books different formats, but they're just bad. The Hello Neighbor books effectively juggle a number of subplots. There's a lot of characters, but they all feel like real and well-defined, and again, the trilogy's biggest strength is the narrative voice. It just makes me happy that they decided to go that route, something that was refreshing and intriguing and engaging. Especially after spending a year reading so many Faz books where it was all third person with no variation. That said, I also recognize that my experience with the books might have been enhanced if I had knowledge and context of the Hello Neighbor games. And again, not only did I not start off as a fan of Hello Neighbor, but from what I've gathered, the games also have a similar messy, problematic presentation style as FNAF does, so getting all that context might have just been more homework for me. So will I read the other Hello Neighbor books? Maybe, maybe not. The mixed reception the games has isn't really encouraging me to dive in, and I can only hope that the rest of the books maintain the same things that I liked about the first three. But for now, I'm not entirely convinced yet. You know, maybe I should just stick with what I know.
So let me get this straight. You knocked on my door to deliver me a pie. And when I didn't answer the door, you broke in and put it in my oven.
That's a bit reductionist, but yeah.
Why?
Because I wanted to make a narrative experience related to the Hello Neighbor games that I could tie into my book reviews and
You are talking nonsense, friend. You really came into this blind, didn't you? No vision, no context. What did you think would happen?
I don't know. Destination and journey, or however the saying goes.
Well, now your journey with no destination is at its end. Was it worth it?
Well, while I did go into the books blind and I have zero context for the games, I did find good things about them. And I know I reached a lot of new people who appreciated what I was doing. Isn't that the point of creating? To reach people? If I made but a handful of people happy on my journey, isn't that in and of itself a worthy destination?
You have a point. But next time you make one of these forays, you should stick to something you know.
Like what?
Something dear to your heart. Something that has haunted you since the beginning. Something worth discussing. Here's your stupid pie, by the way.